Welcome back to the Cap Table Podcast. My name is Aaron Ross. I'm joined by Managing Director of AG Dillon and Co., Aaron Dillon. And Aaron, have a few subjects that I want to talk to you about today, starting off with flock safety. These guys are catching a lot of flack right now in the public eye, creating a very interesting discussion around data privacy. So I want to talk to you about them. Reed Jobs is betting that cancer doesn't have to be fatal with Yosemite Ventures. I want to talk to you about them. Also get into what Hugging Face is doing, and of course, Oura Ring. But I'll start off with this, Aaron. Flock safety. All right, we talk
Yeah.
about data privacy a lot, and I know that you have kids. I have a kid now. It's obviously nice knowing like there's some security. They helped with a bunch of investigations and solving crimes over the past year. They definitely work. Their product works, but now they're creating this whole discussion about like, do we even want this in America? In America, as an American, as a capitalist, as someone with kids yourself, what do you think of this technology?
Oh, I don't like to me, I think the technology is great. I just think it's like the beginning of what will be in like the normal standard here in a couple years time. Like I don't know. There's a lot of people that get a little sideways about data and privacy and everything else. I mean, come on. Like people put stuff on Facebook and Instagram that that would make me blush like 20 years ago. You know what I mean? And then just like let it rip out there. So, and I do think we're on the verge of these AI model like literally us people allowing AI models to track everything we say, hear, see. We'll have cameras in our homes, recording everything, listening to everything. I mean, we're years away from that. So I think we'll have this like great societal change in a very short period of time where everyone will just acknowledge the fact that we're always being recorded. Everything we say and hear and do, and everything's being recorded, and AI is analyzing it and all of it, right? So, you know, it'd be less about is it happening and more about like how are it's not like this is my take. It's going to be this is where we're going with AI, flock included, is it won't be a question of is my data being captured. It's going to be how is my data being used. So if Flock is watching everything that we're doing, like who has access to all of that data? When can they use that data? Right? It's kind of like Apple, like bad actor does something on using an iPhone, and then the government has to get like a subpoena to go in and like actually look at the data to see like where they are, their geolocation or whatever. It's the same kind of thing. So like getting the data is different than using the data, and I think that's going to be the kind of the big kind of the big difference. But I don't know. What do you like? What do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, listen, I think that like one stat sticks out that is pretty tough to ignore. Flock says their technology helped locate more than 10,000 missing people in 2025.
Right,
Like,
right,
and that's everything from like old folks with dementia going outside, not knowing where they are, to like
right.
little kids, like just running around and just being like, I'm lost. Like, where are my parents? Like, something like that makes me, as like, like I'm like a new father. I'm like almost like emotional, like, oh my gosh, like this saved a kid's life. There was an incident where someone stole a car. There were two toddlers in the back. And it's like,
Right.
you can't ignore, like, that technology, like to me, it can't just go away. Can it be abused and used to like turn like the United States into some authoritarian? Sure, it can. But
Right. Right.
I think what a lot of people also forget is that it's voted in by the people. It's voted in by the city
Right.
council. So like, if this technology was in like I don't know, like Iran or China or Pakistan or like one of those places, I think it might be a little bit different. Like they probably already have something like Flock, but I don't know, Aaron. Like it's pretty tough to ignore the pros of this technology.
Yeah. I mean, but at this point, I mean, I'm anticipating that the NSA, CIA, FBI are recording everything anyway, right? So, like, I just don't think it's wise. Let me say it this way. I'll say it in a more pragmatic way. I don't think it's wise for you to assume that you're already not being recorded all the time. So, if you're going around thinking that that's not happening, I think it's a little naive. So, you know so to me the big question is really to me the question is really like it's not that the data is being captured, right? It's how is the data being used. So, like some of the articles around Flock were like some of the police officers were using it for nefarious purposes, like to track, to stalk ex-girlfriends or ex-wives or something like that. Like that's not okay. Okay? Like, people shouldn't be joyriding on data to like, see what's going on at XYZ restaurant or what, you know what I'm saying? It's like it should be thoughtful. Like you can't just use it randomly. Like when you use that is I think more important than the data being captured, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, but like look, crime as a statistic is relatively small. Like most people are not criminals. Most people, a significant majority, right? Almost everybody's not a criminal. Everybody does more or less the right thing. I believe in humanity. So you're talking about something that's going to be imposed on everybody to fight the small few. But being a person who lives in a city of 8 million people, I will tell you, it does not take much nonsense from a very small portion of the population to cause a lot of pain for everybody, right?
Mm.
So these are kind of the trade-offs I think you got to go through. But I actually think this is great. I mean, you talk about AI being leveraged to make everyone's lives better. This is it. But the trade-off is you got to get the AI all the data, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can't have it both ways. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of decide what to do. I think where the way people will fall out is like, by and large, most folks, I think, don't really actually care that someone knows that they're walking down the street or that they went to dinner at this place. It really just does not matter. So I think in time, everyone will opt in, and this will be kind of a standard thing that people will do, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, I would argue against you and say,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know, my comment
Mm,
section, "Oh, this is
I love
authoritarian."
that.
But
Yeah,
I
yeah, come
would,
on.
listen, and honestly, as myself too, I'm like, I don't want someone capturing my freaking face and having it in their data set and looking after me and seeing where's Aaron. I hate that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah, yeah.
born American. Like, we hate that stuff. But I think you brought up a really great point, which is like, you're posting your grandkids on Facebook and your 3-year-old has an Instagram account run by his parents.
Dude,
Like, and you're gonna argue about
We get on
privacy?
YouTube and talk about all of our opinions and thoughts for 30 minutes every week, right? So like for free. So I mean, it's just like I don't know. I mean, it's I more importantly, I think the AI is going to get so good for us personally. Like this flock thing might be a little too like aggressive for some folks. I think what will happen is like these personal assistants that are coming through, whether they're from Apple or Google or some other company, where they have access to all your data, they're listening, they're seeing everything, they're recording the video, all these like new AR hardware devices that are coming up. That will be so positive for us that everyone will be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely doing that. Companies will be like, oh, we got to record all this data because it's a lot. It's very valuable to us. So they'll be turning it on. So in a couple of years' time, it will start with the businesses and people will decide if they want to work at a business or not work at a business like that, right? Then the personal stuff will happen and people will say, oh my gosh, like look at Susie. She's so productive and her life's so simple because she uses this AI assistant. I want to do that too. And then you'll be doing it. And the next thing you know, it'd be like social media. Everyone's doing it. You'd be like, what? You don't have an AI assistant? That's crazy. And then when they flip the switch on for Flock, everyone would be like, yeah, what's the problem? Like, we're all doing that. Like, we're doing that
Yeah.
for everything. My work does that. I do that personally. Like, so whatever. The city's going to do it now too. Like, whatever. It's just a function of time, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, that's kind of where we're at. But all right, dude, let's talk about Aura. Okay.
Yeah, I was just about to say, come on, let's segue right into this one. We're talking
All
about
right.
personal data.
Yeah, talk about personal data, right? So Oura Ring. So Oura Ring is the ring you put on your finger. It tracks your stuff. Like we have, I think we both have Whoops, right? So it's like a competitor to Whoop. There you
Oh,
go. So my wife's has an Aura, right? And like interestingly too, I did some research on these guys some time ago. Like a lot of women use Aura, right? It's like women's health, right?
mm,
Cycles and menopause and the like, right? So there's a lot of like women's health type data that they've started to dial in on, but they're talking about doing an IPO, $16 billion IPO, and then they're doing a $3 billion raise. That was like an eyebrow raise for me. Like $3 billion IPO at $16 billion valuation is a lot. I thought that was a lot. But what do you think of Aura or just maybe wearables in general, like health wearables, right? What do you
yeah.
think of this whole space and then Aura specifically?
Well, I put I stopped wearing my Whoop band because really the only function that I was using it for was to measure my sleep. And if I
Right.
consistently look at how much sleep I'm getting, I'm going to be like depressed. So I just took it off. For, I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I know you have a Whoop. Like, what do you use it for? Is it just sleep also?
And calorie tracking.
Calorie.
How many, I'm like a math guy. So I'm like, I'm like a man of a certain age now. So I can't just eat whatever I want and drink whatever I want. So I have to like, manage how much intake I have. And then this helps me, how much I burn. And I try to stay either equal or at a deficit. Right.
Yeah,
So those
yeah.
two things that really,
Well, like
yeah.
that function seems essential. Like I don't see that function going away anytime soon because like everyone wants to know what's going on with their body, what's going in, what's going out. Everyone needs
Mm-hmm.
to know that. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
for certain. When I like if I was like a banker and I'm trying to do the underwriting for this IPO, I looked on Sacra and their most recent revenue numbers, they did 1 billion in revenue, all right,
Uh-huh.
in 2025. That's up like 100% from 500 million the year before. So they're
Right.
growing, which I like for Aura. I also think that like the ring might have special applications with women, especially like women's
Right.
health is like really its own niche market. Um, Listen, like it always feels a little bit weird with these products. Like I saw that Whoop was like 6 billion, and I'm like,
Right.
come on, like Apple Watch is gonna come onto the scene.
Well,
They're gonna eat
it
your
is a
lunch.
recurring revenue model though, man. Because like, I mean, I know because my wife has this, and I had the Whoop. Like, we pay every month, right? We
Yeah,
pay
but
every
like
month.
I don't know, like what's stopping Apple from like just integrating something into their Apple Watch? Maybe Aura
That's a
actually
good
had
point.
something else because like I don't know, like does your wife like how it looks? Like does it is it like a nice looking fashion piece?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think she just appreciates the data.
Yeah,
I don't know if she's too much on the aesthetics of it. In fact, if you probably asked her, she'd be like, "I don't like that the aesthetic. I don't like that I have to wear this, but I like the data enough that I get that I wear it." You know what I mean?
yeah.
I would say she probably are. If I would think she'd do that. But I mean, let me ask you this though. Like, it is interesting. I think that hopefully we cross over to like a proactive. Like, it would be great if we could take the Whoop and the Aura data and like send it to our doctor, right? And then the doctor
Oh,
has like some AI monitoring it, and if he sees something like coming back, I mean, like, I don't know why we can't stitch these things together. You know what I
Aaron,
mean?
you're onto something there, Aaron. I see that. See, that's an idea that I love. That I haven't like. I just read the full report on Aura. I didn't see
Right,
that anywhere in the report. It's like
right.
we're still behind. That I think that was an excellent point, Aaron. Like, can you imagine we just upload this? Hey, calories in, calories out, sleep patterns. This is what my hormones are doing right now. My bodily functions, everything. I I really like that idea. So that is like the one thing that makes me think,
Listen,
okay, maybe it's a little bit early still.
I wrote a business plan. This is, you're going to laugh at me. I wrote a business plan like 15, 16, 17 years ago, and I'm not this smart, so don't, but it was around financial services and wealth management and making like proactive recommendations to people based on their geolocation. So before someone goes and makes like a bad decision, whether they go to a restaurant that's too expensive or they go shopping and buy something that's too, like, you would get a notification, be like, "Hey, you can't afford this. This is out of budget." Right?
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
but the same thing's for health. It's like, hey, you know, you haven't been tracking, you shouldn't eat that, right? Like, if you start to give this, like, companies like Whoop and Aura context with odd like video and visuals, you could start, I think, to do some of these things, right? Where they're
Yeah.
like, hey, you really can't eat that, or you need to go for a run this afternoon if you do eat that, right? Or, hey, your blood pressure is getting really high lately. Like, what's going on? Which Aura does do that, because my wife comments from time to time. She's like, I was like super stressed out, and like this thing pinged and sent me a notification. So like, some of the stuff, I guess, is there, but like, I think like AI could be the big unlock where you're getting like proactive advice,
Yeah.
and
I
that's interesting.
yeah, for sure. And that's like where this whole like discussion of like personal data, like that's the
Yeah,
most personal data that you have. You know what I mean? Like what's going on with your health? Like I
yeah,
can see people being super protective of that, but I just think that the pros are going to be so obvious and unavoidable like in like a few years where a doctor's like listen like I want to know what's going on with you, you're not feeling well, wear this, you know what I mean? and
right,
and that actually makes me think that like when they're doing the underwriting on these devices, Aaron, and like that are like seem like hardware companies, I really think they're software companies, they're data companies, because
right,
now they Whoop, Aura, even like Apple at this point has so much proprietary data on people's health and their health patterns
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I really think the value is over here. And that's just me if I'm underwriting it. I don't know if you
Right.
agree yourself.
Well, look, I think once you cross over into a space where you're like proactively helping people, I think the valuations could get really high, right? But to do that, you have to your point, you have to have the data, right? And you have to pair that with I think an AI that can analyze all that data quickly and make sense of it. Because your doctor's not going to sit there and watch the screen all day long, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, oh, like Aaron's, maybe going to take a heart attack. It's like that's not going to happen. So you need something that's always on. So, I mean, this is where I think we're going. I like the wearable thing's very interesting to me. But then again, like you have cameras in your house and everything else, and you go down and you fall down and you pass out. Like the AI
Yeah.
is going to be like, oh my gosh, Aaron just passed out. He's on the ground. Call the ambulance. You know what I mean? So, like I read a story. About this girl who had an Oura Ring and she had a brain aneurysm. She was like in her 20s, a brain aneurysm, and was like on the ground for 12 hours before anyone got to her. She was like a single woman. So the guy was like, if Aura could have like noticed that she had a problem and called like 911, that could have like really made a difference for her. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
So,
Whoa.
or if she had like AI cameras. So this is what I'm saying. Like AI, like this is the same thing as Flock. It's like, this is people will cross the chasm. It's like, okay, if this company has all of your data and can see all your stuff, but in the one time that you need it, and you really need it, then you know what I mean. So like, what's the give and take? What's the balance? I think people will ultimately decide to do it because the benefit will outweigh the cons, right? But let's do Yosemite. I got to go in 8 minutes. Let's do Yosemite and Hugging Face real quick before we let it rip. What do you
Okay,
got
sure.
on Yosemite?
So listen, Steve, this is like one of the most emotional stories in like the venture space right now. All right, Steve Jobs' son watched his
Yeah,
father battle pancreatic cancer for 8 years
yeah,
before
the
he
worst.
passed to his illnesses. Um, and it's pretty interesting because like I guess you look at a lot of these children of like super tech billionaires and you're like, what are you doing with your lives? Some of them go into startup. Michael Dell's son. But Reed Jobs has basically dedicated his life to essentially making like cancer something that people can live with. And like I
Right,
think this story is like kind of needed right now, Aaron, because a lot of people like whatever, we're painting like a good picture, like the good outcome for Aura and for Flock and everything. But this is one that I think is like pretty like blatantly obvious, which is like we're now investing in the technologies and the research behind cancer that can like actually like bring like cures to the world. And
right.
I mean, I think that this is just an amazing story. Like, I don't know. What do you think of Reed Jobs and the work that Yosemite has been doing?
Yeah, I mean, these are the things that people don't see with AI until you like actually need it. Like the physics stuff is the same way, right? Or the mathematics solutions that are getting solved. Like it's so it's so far away from like a product that would hit you personally and add, kind of incremental benefit or value that you don't fully appreciate what just happened, right? So, AI impacting cancer research is a multi-year event, right? And you won't really feel it. But, people who are in the field are like, this is incredible that this stuff is happening, right? I can't believe the advances that we're making, but no one actually feels it. You know what I'm saying? Until they themselves have cancer or someone has cancer and they're like, oh, this drug that you had didn't exist 3 years ago. And it was because of AI that we have it. And oh, by the way, now your spouse is going to be cured in 2 weeks' time. And you're like, wait, what? Which like that's nuts, right? So like those stories will come probably in 5 or 10 years time, and that will be like these great benefits or some physics solution will present itself and then yield some better product or less expensive materials or whatever it might be that will drive down costs and make everyone's life better, but it will be so far away removed from like the actual mathematics or actual physics of it that people won't kind of fully appreciate, right, what it is. So I mean, that's where this cancer thing's real though. And if you listen to a lot of the AI labs, like especially the closed labs, I mean, they talk about this stuff all the time, like the real world science impact of AI and what benefits it's going to bring to humanity. So It's just, perhaps a little frustrating or disappointing that folks can't see that kind of in real time, right? That's maybe the nuance there. But I mean, what do you think? What are your thoughts about this, right? Or maybe healthcare and
Yeah,
AI in general.
I mean, I think that like this is like one of the industries that people are overlooking a little bit because there's so much exciting noise. People go after the noise, especially like doomerism, that type of stuff, and kind of gloss over the progress that's, to be fair, a little bit, you know, uh, I guess
Right.
no one could really understand it at face value. So I don't know how much value they'd actually be getting if they were reading a report by Claude Science. But like Dario
Right.
has been really outspoken about this. He said, one of the greatest gifts to humanity that will come within like the next few years, like this is coming soon, is we're going
Right.
to start hearing diseases like that
Right.
have been like plaguing people forever. And
Right.
it's like at that point, like I actually think that's a milestone we need to hit because if mass unemployment is coming, which, I could see, us going through like a phase of, crazy layoffs and everything. I think that we'll get over that hurdle. But in order to get over that hurdle, I think you need something sweet and promising. Be like, wow, like, you know what? Like AI automation is a little bit tough right now and the economy is figuring itself out, rebalancing. But what a gift to humanity that like, my mother, my cousin, my friend's brother are going to be taken care of because we're developing like this is like heaven. This is like
Yeah.
God said. This is
Yeah.
like you thank God for this type of progress. This is what we've been waiting billions of years for on Earth for this. Like this is going to be incredible. So I'm super excited about this space, and I think it's just going to be really, really exciting to see the developments that are
Right.
coming out of the like disease cancer research space. So,
Yeah,
um,
it is tough. I got to tell you, I have some investors that come to me and ask to invest in stuff like this. It's like, to me, it's very hard to pull the trigger on like a bioscience, a biomedical, type type thing because I mean, first of all, it's like it's such a long runway, right?
yeah,
And then you have regulatory approvals, right? I mean, this is why I think fintech and crypto hasn't really taken off. All these regulatory approvals, right? Where
yeah,
AI just you let it rip. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe there's some regulatory approval around electricity production, but by and large, like I mean, this stuff can just run. The AI application companies can just run. Fintech, you got to get a banking license, SEC approval, FINRA approval. It's like a lot of work. You know what I mean?
yeah.
A lot of compliance costs, and it's the same with this medicine. So,
Yeah. I
um,
mean, like Aaron, like for example, like Colossal Biosciences hitting $30 billion. Like,
I
how
don't
do you
know,
underwrite
man.
that? How do you
I
underwrite
just that one's weird. So for those that don't know, colossal bioscience is like bringing back like extinct animals. I don't know.
that? Like,
Someone
like
called me 2 years ago to invest in those guys. But and for what it's worth, I hope I'm wrong and I hope they crush it and it's like $1 trillion company and I'm an idiot, right? And everybody makes a ton of money. I just like I was like someone called me 2 years ago. They're like, you got to invest in this thing. It's amazing. They're bringing back extinct animals. I'm like, but where's the revenue model? Is it like is it
the
like
most
where
expensive of all time.
is it a zoo? That's what it's like. Is it zoos? I'm like, how many zoos? Like you have a zoo in every city? I'm like, how much revenue can you make? It's not scale. I don't understand, you know?
Yeah.
So like I don't know. But anyway, like that's it. Hey man, listen, Hugging Face, real quick. So Hugging Face open this is open source AI models, right? So Hugging Face, you can come in, they have proprietary data sets, they have the open source models, you can kind of like host and kind of train and do everything there at Hugging Face. So they're talking about an acquisition. They haven't named who it is though, $13 billion. Okay. It was last valued at 4.5 billion in 2023. What are your just like 60 seconds, man? What are your thoughts on Hugging Face, kind of open source, etc.?
Listen, I think that, this is like the ultimate AI infrastructure company for the software side. People don't really understand what they do. It's very technical, but
Great name.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if like, yeah, like Hugging Face, like what, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a bidding war behind the scenes right now because
Right.
Aaron, like talking about this whole episode, it's all about proprietary data. Data is king.
Right.
Data is
Well,
king.
I
That's
wouldn't be surprised. Who do you think's going to buy? Who do you think's buying it? I would throw Stripe in the mix. They're in acquisition mode right now. They just
yeah,
bought Open Router.
yeah, that's right. Me personally, I think that it's going to be SpaceX or NVIDIA for like some sort of open source
Ooh.
model. So I guess we'll have to come back in a couple weeks and see which one of us is right, Aaron. We'll see
SpaceX
if
could
it
be
happens.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
All right, man. All right, brother. Well, appreciate you, man. This is a good one. Thank you.
great speaking, Aaron. Always. Take care.
All right, man.